you're on a spiritual journey, period, and we're all going to end up in the same place if there is such a thing. I used to be a guy who was experiencing the world, and now I feel like the world and the universe experiencing a God. All we really yearn for is our own absence. I don't want anything. That's the craziest thing, and it's the weirdest thing to say, where I have no ambition, somewhere in the middle of absolute confusion, absolute disappointment, the fruition of all of my dreams, standing there with everything anybody else had ever dreamed about having and be unhappy.
You know, it's not Jim Carrey who can walk down the street just you know, doing anything he wants to and get away with it because nobody knows you. You know, after a while, hopefully it'll be to the point where I can't walk out in the street. Won't that be fun? where it'll be impossible to walk anywhere without being recognized.
Spirituality is about relieving suffering. You know, everything is divine. There's no thing that isn't divine. Everything is divine. And I'm that you go to the office and you put a monkey suit on and you act a certain way and you say a certain thing and you lie through your teeth at times and you do whatever you need to do to look like a winner. And then at some point of your life you have to go, I don't care what it looks like, and I'm gonna face the abyss of not knowing whether that's going to be okay with everybody or not. The feeling of wholeness is a different feeling than meanness.
I don't exist, so they're all characters that I played. I played the guy that was free from concern, so that the people who watch me will be free from concern, just like the movie. They try to drown you in the middle of that abyss. They go, no, be the other guy. You told us you were this guy. You know, no one can live with that forever. Like, I don't want to be me either, you know. And I go, well, look great, because you never have been. I mean, it looks great. You got a cool car, and you got good, nice clothes, and you've done something that people admire. It's not worth having this country. Everybody walks around, they go like, why am I depressed? Well, it's because you're trying to be something for the world.
And as soon as you let that go, better things happen. And I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? And suddenly I was thrown into this amazing feeling of freedom. I was no longer a fragment of the universe. I was the universe. Depression only happens when you're playing a character. So when I tried to go back and play Jim Carrey, I got depressed. You're gonna have to either let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated, or you're gonna have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave, grasping onto a character that you never were. My father was not only the funniest man in the room, but he was a fantastic saxophone player. And before I was born, he had an orchestra in Toronto. But, you know, in order to be something special, you had to leave Canada and come down to the States and prove yourself in the States. He was a little bit afraid of that transition. And also, he had a family to take care of, so he became an accountant. And as time wore on, it wore him down, and he got a little bit bitter, especially when he lost his job, when he was 51. That really broke him. Not only was he compromising to raise a family, but when you compromise and you fail, it really hurts. It hurts even more than failing at what you love. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it. I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever at that time. All it really was for me was making me feel better. I would drive home and think, well, I do have these things. They're out there, I just don't have a hold of them yet. But they're out there, but it's important, especially for me. I would never show up anywhere if I didn't understand that everyone was broken in some way. Because ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We are the light that shines through. The happy place is realizing that you're everything and that there's no real you involved in the first place. I have sadness and joy and elation and gratitude beyond belief, but all of it is what happens around the planet. It doesn't sit on me long enough to kill me. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. As someone who's done what you're about to go and do, I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
What I find most striking about this reflection is its raw vulnerability, how it shatters the illusions we're so often taught to chase. The notion that success, identity, and even happiness are fleeting constructs resonates deeply with me. It challenges the very foundation of how we define ourselves in this world. When Jim Carrey talks about shedding the character of himself, it's not just an actor's struggle, that's a human struggle. We all play roles. We play the good employee, the perfect partner, the devoted parent, or the ambitious dreamer, often losing ourselves in the process. But what happens when those roles no longer serve us? When the masks we wear become prisons instead of tools? His story about his father choosing practicality over passion and the pain that followed is something many of us can relate to. It's a cautionary tale that whispers a truth we often ignore. Playing it safe doesn't protect you from failure. It can magnify it. And worse, it can rob you of the joy and meaning that comes from pursuing what you love. It's a reminder that compromise, when driven by fear, carries a cost not just to our dreams, but to our spirit. I think about the concept of serving the world that Carrey mentions. It's profound because it flips the traditional narrative of success on its head. Instead of asking, what can I gain? It asks, what can I give? This reframing offers a pathway out of the endless loop of self-criticism and external validation. The value we bring to others, whether through our talents, compassion, or authenticities, the only currency that holds meaning when everything else fades. Carrey's admission that happiness isn't about accumulating things or status, but about realizing you're already complete is revolutionary. It resonates with something I've come to believe, that fulfillment isn't found in achieving goals or playing roles, but in letting go of the need to be anything at all. There's freedom in recognizing that you don't have to prove your worth to anyone, not even to yourself. That freedom is where true joy lives, not in the highs of achievement, but in the stillness of simply being. One of the most poignant ideas here is that depression at its core arises when we're trapped in roles that no longer fit us. It's like wearing a suit that's two sizes too small. It constricts, it suffocates, and it isolates. Letting go of those roles can feel terrifying because we fear rejection. But Carrey is right. Holding on to a false identity is far more devastating. It's a slow death of the self, a surrender to a version of life that isn't even ours. For me, this reflection is not just a critique of societal norms, but a call to action. It's a challenge to stop living passively, dictated by fear or practicality, and to start living with purpose and authenticity. It's about daring to ask the universe for what we truly want, even when it feels ridiculous. It's about recognizing that our essence isn't tied to achievements, failures, or the mask we wear, but to the light that shines through us, the light that touches others in ways we may never fully understand. In the end, the most important question isn't, who am I? But how will I serve the world? That's where meaning lives. It's not about the applause or the accolades, it's about the quiet, lasting impact we have on others, simply by being true to ourselves.